Welcome, everybody, to the Real Whovians cast, episode 640. I am your host, Matrix Lord 212. I'm with Connor Farley. What's up, Connor?
Hello.
What's up, David?
What's up, guys?
What's up, Mike D?
Doggy D fish, shit.
Okay, so what is this crazy theory you have, Connor?
Well, actually, it's not so crazy because it's plausible.
Very good.
Yep. I think I've worked out where Gallifrey is.
Okay.
If you watch the episode, The Girl Who Waited,
Right.
and then you watch Deep Breath, you'll obviously note that the garden that Amy goes in is the same as the garden that Missy goes in.
Okay.
On the Cluedo game, the Doctor Who Cluedo game that's going to be released, it states that Missy gave a clue in Series 9 as to where Gallifrey actually is. But obviously we know that she gave false coordinates. So that still means that there's technically, she's still given a clue. Which I think is the garden. Because if you remember The Girl Who Waited, the planet, Apalachia, is a planet made up of several timelines. Because you obviously go through that door and it takes you into separate timelines, which is what happened.
Yeah, there's two timelines for that same timeline.
Well,
Like
there's actually more than two, I think.
Okay.
Um,
Well, I mean, for each individual timeline, there's two. Yeah.
right. Okay. And we know that obviously one of them moves faster than the other.
Right.
On Apalachia. So my theory was that I think Missy took Gallifrey there after the end of time, because for the 10th Doctor, the end of time happened after Day of the Doctor. So when Gallifrey returned in the end of time, that would have been after for the 10th Doctor. That would have been after Gallifrey was saved.
Well, no. See, here's the thing. It's kind of weird, but when that was happening, and according to the Day of the Doctor, they said that, well, where's the High Council? They said they're I guess they were in the middle of that whole event with the 10th Doctor. So it wasn't kind of like before or after. It was like going on at that moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, in other words, I guess they went right back, and then they were sent into a pocket universe. It wasn't even like a thing to breathe, you know?
Yeah.
So it was like seconds. So yeah, God, I'm sorry. So finish.
Yeah. So I don't think at the time when Gallifrey was taken to Apalachia, the garden, or nearby to the garden, I should say, because it won't actually be in the garden itself. I think it was still John Sims' master.
Right.
But he caught Chen 7, which, as we know in The Girl Who Waited, is the disease that can kill Time Lords off in a day.
The one problem with that is, first he would have had to have healed from his calamity that he had already, where his body was falling apart and he was turning into a skeleton. So first he would have had to get cured by the Time Lords or the Gate, and then when he's completely cured. Now the other part of what you're saying about the virus that kills
Time Lords.
it wasn't a thing. Like, if the reason why the Doctor didn't go on there was because the moment he got the virus, he'd be dead. It wasn't like it wouldn't sit in his system for like minutes.
Well, actually, it says that it kills a Time Lord in a day.
In a day.
Yeah, but Apalachia has this thing where it allows for a person to live their life in a day. So time almost slows down.
Right. Okay. I got you.
But if you listen to the dialogue in The Girl Who Waited, there's actually a mention of a source of power, that was
That's fair.
never like pointed out like as something specific in the episode itself. And obviously, with Appalachia being focused around multiple timelines,
Right.
I think maybe the source is Gallifrey itself, which is close by, because obviously we know that Time Lords and Appalachians share the same kind of biological setup because they both have two hearts.
Right. Okay.
So it'd be kind of like a neighbouring planet, a bit like Khan. And I'm just thinking what else. I think that John Sim caught Chen 7, but managed to escape Appalachia and travel to Khan, where the Sisterhood gave John Sim the choice that basically they gave the Eighth Doctor. Do you want to be a man? Do you want to be a woman? Do you want to be old? Do you want to be young? Etc. etc. And that's basically how.
No, but with that virus, they can't regenerate, though. They would have to.
Yeah, that's why he travelled to Khan, because they can heal him.
Right.
Because they're wise women, you know, they're healers. They've got the elixir and stuff.
Okay.
So I think it's a bit of a mix and match theory. So I'm just trying to piece it together in a way.
Still, he still has to. It sounds pretty awesome, but the only problem is he still has to heal from his already medical condition.
Yeah,
like,
well,
he's turning into a skeleton. His body is not healing itself. He's turning into a skeleton. So first he would have to heal from that. So you're saying after he heals from that and he's whole, then he gets a virus?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to piece it together. It also says that like a villain of the Doctor has and Missy has found Gallifrey on the Cluedo game. So I think that's the Daleks. I think.
Well, what about this? What if it has nothing to do? Like, yes, the story will be connected to the girl waited, but the Master goes to Karn to cure himself from becoming a skeleton, and they give him the wrong potion to turn into a woman, and then like all hell breaks loose. But it's still tied with, the girl waited, because that could be on Gallifrey, that's like their holodeck in a way, like Star Trek, but it's not a holodeck. It's like, hey, you want to go visit Universe 174221? Like, maybe because they're Time Lords, of course they're Lords of Time, they're Lords of traveling through time throughout alternate realities. So maybe she's just harnessing, besides the Nethersphere, the Time Lord technology, because he said, the Doctor said that his people could just, like, travel through timelines like it was nothing. Except for him, of course, but,
And I think what links the girl who waited and Deep Breath, just moving forward to Deep Breath now, Missy calls the place that she's in, the garden, paradise, doesn't she?
Yes, and also the ships will have time windows. Well, the Madame de Pompadour had time windows to travel through time.
Well, I think that obviously it's going to be the same planet. I think it's for sure the same planet. That was never stated, obviously. But in Series 8...
But it makes you a question, didn't Missy escape technically from the Time War because of using the ship, the Marie Antoinette, to create a time window to go through? Because if that ship was in the Time War, they could just simply use that technology to go through the time windows, and she's out of the time lock. In fact...
When was that ship said to be in the Time War?
Well, it wasn't, but it looked like Missy was manipulating what was going on with that ship. Because there was an accident that happened that sent it all the way back to the prehistoric era. So in a way, Madame de Pompadour's ship had time windows. But this ship was not revealed that it had time windows, but it just traveled through time by accident. And then it was so badly repaired it couldn't travel forward back in time. So I'm just wondering.
Well, without complicating it, that's a good thing. Maybe that might come up, but without complicating it any further.
Right.
Obviously, in Deep Breath, we know that Missy referred to it as paradise, and also the half-faced man,
Promised Land,
referred to it as paradise as well. But in Series 8, the robots in Deep Breath and the robots in Robots of Sherwood shared the common goal of wanting to reach the Promised Land. And regarding the Nethersphere, the only people that were not sent to the Nethersphere is the half-faced man and also the girl in Into the Dalek, who was disintegrated and had no body that could realistically be upgraded.
Right. But the caretaker guard was sent into the Nethersphere.
Because he had a body that could be upgraded.
Okay.
Because we if you remember in
so certain bodies couldn't be upgraded.
Well, obviously
like into the Dalek girl, but the Dalek girl could not be upgraded.
Yeah, because she was completely disintegrated.
Well, she was taken out of time before she was disintegrated.
Was she?
Supposedly. I mean, she was in Gallifrey. Well, I mean, promised. I don't know.
Right. Well, anyway.
But you know what? Too, another thing too. If the Master couldn't regenerate, the Nethersphere is another way to regenerate because it keeps creating bodies. I mean, Danny Pink could have a body from the Nethersphere. Just create one.
Right. Well, just let me finish my theory, and then we'll.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. What I was saying is that they were sharing the common goal of reaching the Promised Land. Obviously, there was no scene in the Nethersphere or in the Promised Land or whatever in Robot Sherwood. So if you watch Deep Breath, the robot couldn't realistically be upgraded into a Cyberman from what he already was.
Correct.
They took him straight away to heaven, the actual heaven, his realistic personal heaven, and that was reaching the Promised Land. So, and if you remember when Missy was first announced as a character, they called her the Gatekeeper.
Right.
It was never specified in Series 8 that she was a gatekeeper of anything. I mean, never said she was the gatekeeper of the Nethersphere, as far as I can remember.
Well, there was a mention of something towards that effect in the Big Bang.
But that's before Missy's time.
Well, yeah, but what do they say? The Nether, what did River say? The Queen of the Nether realm.
Well, you never know if that's you don't know if that's Missy.
Well, yeah, I know.
Right, back to my theory.
Yes, sorry, go ahead.
I think that Missy's in that particular place, and she doesn't want to tell the Doctor about, the fact that it's near Appalachia, because, like, she's the gatekeeper to the Promised Land, which we know as being Gallifrey. I mean, from what the picture we saw in Robot of Sherwood, I think it's pretty obvious that it's a planet, so it must be Gallifrey. And obviously, because Appalachia has the ability of creating multiple timelines, it's got the perfect defense system for anyone that's a Time Lord that may be on the pursuit of Gallifrey. I mean, it's got this disease that can kill them in one day. Where do you think Missy would realistically take it? I don't think there's anywhere better than somewhere with a defense system like that. Because we know that the Master's goal is to dominate the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So we're better to have Gallifrey all for herself on Appalachia, where there's multiple timelines where it's unlikely that they will find her, than anywhere else in the universe. So I think that the garden on Apalachia, where the half-faced man was taken, is the gateway to the source of Apalachia, and those multiple timelines, which is Gallifrey.
Okay.
So that's my theory. If you can, if that's concise enough and you can comprehend that, then feel free to comment on it.
So, is she? So, in other words, she's the gatekeeper of Gallifrey.
Yeah, she's kind of the key to finding Gallifrey.
But they didn't like her.
Who?
Rassilon hated him, the Master.
He, because it would have been a he at the time.
I said Master Rassilon hated him, right?
Yeah, say he defeated them, and then Missy, or the Master, or whatever he was at the time, had the ability to take Gallifrey off themselves and put it on Apalachia. Because in the end of time, the goal towards the end of the Master was to have Gallifrey all for themselves.
So what did she do? She somehow enslaved them?
Either that, or she defeated and killed them. But we don't know that, so yeah.
So she could have probably put them in the Nether Sphere or something.
She could have imprisoned them on Gallifrey itself. But she has complete control over Gallifrey.
Right, I believe that. I do believe that she's in control of Gallifrey.
Yeah.
Completely.
So I think she put it there as the source of Apalachia, because there is a source mentioned, but it's never specified what.
So how does Pompeii tie into that, though?
Well, my theory about Pompeii is that there's something called the Blenovich limitation effect, which is mentioned in Mordrin Undead, and it's where someone crosses their own timeline and makes contact with themselves or a past or
two brigadiers touching each other that created the amount of regeneration energy that was the sum of 8 regenerations.
Something like that, yeah.
Right. Which is sort of like what River did to the Doctor when she healed him in.
What we missed was something pretty vital. In the Fires of Pompeii, Tennant said at the end to Caecilius that the explosion of Mount Vesuvius created a time rift for only a single
1 second. Right.
Yeah. What if the secret day of the Doctor wasn't the 12th Doctor going after Gallifrey, but it was him entering that time rift, where he would then go to Caecilius, to Pompeii, and find Caecilius, and he would touch him, and he would, be in contact with him, which would then, because what the Blinovich limitation effect does is it transfers information and thoughts and knowledge and stuff from a future self to a past self, or vice versa. Well, obviously it won't be vice versa, because obviously the future self would already know the knowledge from the past. So it was a 3-way Blinovich effect thing, because the 12th Doctor would have travelled through that time rift, gone to Caecilius, touched him or been in contact with him, would have given him the information about what was to come. Then he would have, and then as we saw in Fires of Pompeii, he would have made contact with the 10th Doctor. Because before we knew that the 10th Doctor was kind of reserved and he didn't want to save people. But then he got the idea. He finally felt the confidence. And then that led on, and then Caecilius would have touched the 10th Doctor's hand when trying to save him, because Caecilius would have known what was to come and would have known to have gone with the Doctor when the Doctor came back for him. And it transferred the information from Caecilius to Tennant that Gallifrey was going to be saved, which then led on to the events of Time Lord Victorious being the guy that can change history whenever he wants. Because then after the Waters of Mars, we know that...
I don't see. You're saying if he has the knowledge that Gallifrey is saved?
Yeah.
That wouldn't work, because then Matt Smith would know Gallifrey is saved, and he didn't know that Gallifrey wasn't saved.
Well, yeah, there's obviously flaws to the theory, but it's just a theory. It might not happen, but I think that could be something that's so simple to understand that, because we obviously know that Moffat isn't going to overly.
See, here's the thing, right? If he's not supposed to remember Day of the Doctor, but if he did,
Yeah.
right, he could say that the 4 knocks happened on Trenzalore, and that's what makes him snap and become Time Lord victorious, because technically, you know, you don't know what the hell Trenzalore is. I mean, he doesn't really know.
Mm.
And he doesn't know. I don't know.
And then Matt Smith regenerates into Capaldi. I know we've said this 1,000 times because it's a reminder of.
Yeah, but I don't think he did it. I think the Time Lords manipulated that regeneration. I definitely don't think he did it consciously, because he didn't want to be old.
Well, no, that's what I mean. I mean, he didn't do it himself.
The Time Lords put it that way.
Yeah, to remind him of the way that he came in a
Right.
previous, when he was himself in the future.
And I think he can regenerate indefinitely. To tell you the truth.
That's a.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. It sounds pretty good, bro. I mean, we just got to work out the kinks, but I don't think they're gonna do all of that, though. I mean, they're gonna. See, the thing is, I don't believe anything Moffat says. He's full of shit. I mean, he's awesome, but certain things he says, even with the Maisie Williams thing, I don't know.
Yeah.
Can't believe everything he says. Somehow Pompey's tied in. Somehow the girl who waited's tied in. What do you say, Mikey?
I'm just digesting what you guys have been talking about, theory-wise.
I've also got another bit of information, actually. I researched Pyrovilia, and it was one of the 3 missing planets when the reality bomb.
Right, but that's what I said before. I said that when that gets put back before its time, it's going to alter the timeline anyway.
Well, it said that it was stolen thousands of years previously. And I think that was by Davros.
Yeah, he's stolen her. Right.
In the Magician's Apprentice form. In him as someone that's, not crippled. Yeah.
No. It was see, it was stolen out of time because the time travelers, the Daleks, though.
Sorry.
The Daleks traveled through time, so it wasn't like they just went back in time, took it, and brought it back.
Maybe. I'm not saying that what I.
Because that's what they did with Scarrow. They probably pulled that shit out of there before it blew up.
Because if you, in The Stolen Earth and Journey's End, Davros fulfilled the prophecy of the sisterhood on Pompeii by proclaiming the Doctor the destroyer of worlds.
Mm-hmm.
So he must have had some knowledge of that prophecy. So I think it might still be Khan, but in the trailer we see a hooded Davros, we assume, on a planet that looks like it's inside Mount Vesuvius.
Right.
So what if it's, and obviously we know that the people surrounding him, they look like the Sisterhood of Khan, but also the Sisterhood in Pompeii. So I was thinking that maybe if that's not Khan, it could be when Davros learns about the prophecy before he takes Pyrovilia, because then he knows what's to come. Because everything from Pfizer Pompeii pretty much leads to Gallifrey being saved, the 12th Doctor.
Well, you see, I think that the Day of the Doctor, the Daleks learned from that. Because they says, all right, so the Time Lords are free, they're saved, Gallifrey's saved, so we're going to do the same shit to Scarrow, and we're going to pluck Scarrow out of time before the 7th Doctor destroys it with the Hand of Omega. So Gallifrey's alive, and so is Scarrow, and the only difference is that Scarrow was restored and shown in an Asylum of Daleks. So, it could be out of order because you don't know when Asylum of the Daleks takes place, as according to Series 8, 9, 10, whatever. I mean, technically, it could take place after Day of the Doctor, where the Daleks saved Skaro the same way that the Time Lords were saved by the 11th Doctor and all the Doctors in Day of the Doctor. They plucked the planet at a time and put it in a pocket universe or something. But in their case, Skaro's around. That's the only way I can explain Skaro. You know.
Hmm.
Or the Time Lords could have said, look, how about this? We have a truce. There's no more time war behind the scenes. And here's Skaro. We won't bother you, you don't bother us. You know, because technically at the end of the time, in the beginning, they're freed already. They're freed, you know, because the woman was older in the beginning. So that's even taking place after Day of the Doctor, before, I'm talking about in the time beginning, because they're obviously out of the time lock. Done. Free.
I don't mean to cut you guys off, but I do have to get going, guys. It's getting pretty late where I am.
Okay.
So I will see you guys later.
No problem.
See you,
See you
man.
later. So the thing about time travel, wibbly wobbly timey wimey, is that, you know, these people could be, not only does the Doctor encounter a river out of order, but dealing with the Time Lords and all this other nonsense, you know, and the Daleks, like Skaro, could be restored as a result of Series 9. You know,
Well, I definitely think that he fixes time. He fixes the timeline somewhere, and that's why he's repeated in episode 11. He's in several.
Or it could be a Doctor popped out of each portal from Girl Who Waited with his multiple timelines, and maybe Missy enlists all these multiple Doctors from different timelines to help her against the Daleks.
Who knows?
Yeah.
So who is Maisie Williams' character in this?
No idea.
Moffat's saying it's a new character, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but
And he says he could be lying, he said, though.
I thought that maybe, like, I had a weird thought that she might be Donna, but I don't know how.
She could be Missy, like it could be that John Simmer generated into a young girl.
Well, yeah,
And then that girl becomes Missy.
yes, I did say that like a few weeks ago. Yeah, that could be a young Missy.
Right. There's a lot to think about here. I mean, we're racking our brains, and it could be not even anything half as good.
Mm.
You know? I mean, we're making it really deep. You know, and that's the trouble. Like, we'll get let down. You know, if it doesn't come anything close to what we thought of. But still, I mean, I think we're going to come pretty close. I say.
Yeah, and like the Blinovich effect thing fits in with, as Mike said in a previous cast, the look of recognition between Kekilius and Tennant and stuff.
Right.
Like that knowledge is suddenly there when they.
See, I think the whole thing with the exchange and all that, I think we're making it so complex. I think basically that
It's not
Gallifrey.
that complex because all it is
I know.
Capaldi goes through the time rift. He visits Kekilius. He comes in contact with him, being the same, you know, of the same family, or well, not the same family, but you know, the same. They've got the same face and everything. The information's passed on. Then Kekilius passes the information on to Tennant, and he saves him. So.
Or it could just be that Gallifrey's in Pompeii.
Well, who
Or
knows?
Gallifrey is with Kekilius.
So
Well-
how did Tennant end up in Pompeii in that episode in the first place?
The TARDIS just put him there, just like he brings
Well,
him to places that you don't know.
The Sisterhood had the prophecy that the TARDIS would land on Pompeii in a time of, I can't remember the exact words, fire and well, one of it, I can't remember exactly what they said, but then you obviously had the girl who was Kekilius' daughter know who the Doctor was with her psychic
Right.
powers and stuff, and
Yeah.
so who knows? I think it's all a big prophecy, to be honest.
I don't know. What do you say, Mike Dick?
I'm looking something up actually right now.
Okay. Doctor related?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what was the episode that leads into Fires of Pompeii.
Partners in crime.
Okay.
And the Planet of Ood was following it.
Yeah.
Again, which is...
Series 4, most Series 4's episodes had a prophecy involved within the episode.
Right. Anything to add? Anybody?
Not for the theory, no. That's my
Mike
theory.
Dick?
Not
Mike
as
Dick?
of this moment. No, I'm thinking.
All right. I'm going to go to sleep. We can talk about this again tomorrow. Take care. Bye for now, guys.